Hi, this is the Marshall JVM4 Series. We're going to be looking at the 100 watt head, and then a little bit later looking at the 100 watt combo that's available as well in the range. We're going to look at the front panel, look at the sounds within the amp, and then look at the features along with the foot switch in a little while. For what you're going to be hearing, we're going to be driving a standard Marshall 1960A cab, which contains Celestion G1275 speakers. The cab has 300 watts of output. Each speaker is 75 watts. So we're going to look at the front panel, going from right to left. If you look over on the right-hand side just here, you've got your clean channel, and you've got your preamp and your EQ section. Then just underneath that, you've got your crunch channel with exactly the same layout. And on the end of each of these, you've got the channel indicator as well. Then moving along into the center of the panel, you've got overdrive 1 just here and overdrive 2 underneath. Again, laid out with volume, bass, middle, treble, and gain. Then just here, you've got your reverb section. You've got 4 separate reverb pots, so you can assign a different amount of reverb to each channel. At the end, you've got 2 master volumes which work in exactly the same way, so you can boost with the second master volume. You can boost it up for any of those channels, or you can make it you can cut it all the way down if you want to no sound from the amp at all. And then just underneath, you've got resonance and presence. Resonance more for the bottom end, sort of boosting the bottom end, and presence more for the top kind of thing. The other indicators that you see on here are just here. That's to show that the reverb is on. And then just here you've got the indicator light for the second master volume. And just here you've got your foot switch program button, which we'll get to in a little while. And then you've got your effects loop button as well. So it's a 4-channel amp, and each amp has 3 separate modes, and they're indicated by different colored lights. It starts on green, then goes up to orange, and then goes up to red. So you've got 3 different modes on 4 different channels. So there's 12 possible sounds within this amp. So we're going to look at just the clean channel to begin with, and you'll see that the indicator light is showing me green, which is the first mode. So this is the straight clean sound. For what you're hearing, I've set pretty much the channels all up all the same. So you've got bass, middle, and treble roughly on about 2/3. The volumes and gains are roughly on about half as well. So this is the straight clean. If you have a look at the volume pot on the clean channel, underneath in brackets it says orange and red, and the reason behind that is that the volume, when you're on the clean channel on the green mode, the actual volume pot is inactive. It does absolutely nothing. That's because you're only working on the gain at the other end, so you get a true signal pathing, because when you're on clean you don't need both volume and gain. You just really need to use the gain. So the volume is inactive on that mode that you just heard. What we're going to do, we're going to step up to the next mode now, and to get to the next mode, all you do is you just press the channel button itself, and you'll see that the light turns to orange. And now what's happening is you're just bringing in a little bit more gain into the stage, so the sound will start to break up now. And obviously now the volume is active on the channel too. And then pressing the channel indicator one more time will take it to red. And now we're on the red mode of the clean channel, and the sound's more like, you've got to think more like a Marshall Plexi, that kind of thing. It's even more broken up, and there's a little bit more gain in there now. So all those sounds that you've just heard, they're all from the clean channel. All those 3 sounds are all within that one channel. If you press the indicator light again, you go back to the green mode. So you're back at the beginning, and then again, and you're back on the clean sound. What we're going to do now, we're going to move on to the next channel, which is the crunch channel. When you go, it starts on the green mode again, and this is based more like a JCM 800 kind of sound. It starts off quite tame, but then the more you go up through the modes, it gets more fierce. So this is the green mode of the crunch channel. What we're going to do, just press the channel select, and then we're onto the orange mode. And now again, it's starting to bite a little bit more. And then up to the red mode, and this is the red mode of the crunch channel. So that's the crunch channel. Now we're going to move on to overdrive 1. Now there's two different overdrive channels, overdrive 1 and overdrive 2. Overdrive 1 is more of a scoop kind of sound, and then overdrive 2 is a more traditional Marshall kind of Britishy gain sound. So overdrive 1 on the green mode is kind of like this. Up to the orange mode. And then finally, the red mode. So that's the three sounds in overdrive 1. Now onto overdrive 2. Like I said earlier, it's a little bit more traditional sounding, so starting on the green mode. Up to the orange mode. And finally the red mode. So that's the 12 available sounds within the amp. For everything that you were hearing, I didn't have any reverb on, but what we can do just to show you the reverb is we're going to go back to the clean channel, green mode of the clean channel, and like I said earlier, you can assign a different amount of reverb to each pot. So here's your clean pot just here. The rest you've got is your crunch, overdrive 1 and overdrive 2. So this is the reverb. This is without the reverb. And this is with. That's perhaps more that you'd need, but so just to show there's plenty of reverb in there. That was only on about 3/4, but there is more, and it's actually digital reverb in there as well. So that's the general sounds within the amp. What we're going to do now is look at the features and the modes and the way that the reverb and the second master volume and the effects loop can be stored to each channel. If you're playing just like we've got the reverb left on there on the clean channel, and then we go to another channel, let's say over to the crunch channel, you'll see that the reverb disappears. And then when we go back to the clean channel on the green mode, the reverb's back. If we go to any other mode on the clean channel as well, we lose the reverb. And then when we come back to the green mode, it's all recalled. So you can set up every single mode within the channel exactly how you want it. And that also applies for the second master volume as well. Let's say that we had the second master volume on that channel too, or the effects loop as well. And then we go to any other mode in that channel, and they disappear. As soon as we're back to the green, they're recalled. And again, that works for any other channel you go to as well. You go there and you come back and it's all still recalled. So like I say, it makes it easier so you don't have to keep turning the reverb on and off all the time. You can set up your sounds as you want. What we're going to do now is I'm going to grab the foot switch and we're going to look at the foot switch and how the features work with that. So this is the foot switch that comes with the Marshall JVM4. You'll notice that there's nothing written in the boxes above, and it has 6 buttons on it. Also, you've got a panel on the top right which shows which channel you're on and whether you've got the second master volume, the reverb, or the effects loop on or off. So the way the foot switch comes preset from the factory is that number 1 acts as your clean channel, number 2 acts as your crunch channel, and you'll see the indicator light there come on for that. Number 3 acts as your overdrive 1 channel, number 4 is your overdrive 2, number 5 is your second master volume, and then the light comes on there to correspond with the front of the amp, and then number 6 is your reverb on and off as well. So the lights correspond with the front of the amp, like I say, so you don't have to keep looking back at the amp to see where you are. You know where you are from the foot switch just by looking down on the floor, so it makes life a hell of a lot easier. And you're probably wondering how you start to scroll through the modes. You do it exactly the same way. Rather than having to press the channel select button on the front of the amp, you just do it from the foot switch. There's 2 ways of using the foot switch, and this is the first way, just scrolling through. So if we're on the clean channel, on the green mode, what you do is you just press the clean channel again, number 1, and it changes to orange. Press it again, changes to red, and then once again, and you're back to green again. So that works through all the different channels. You can scroll through. This is a great way actually of when you're first trying this amp out, is to sit in the guitar shop and just have the foot switch with you and just play with it that way, because that way you don't have to keep pressing the front panel. And like I said earlier, 5 and 6 are your master and reverb, your second master and reverb. So that's one way of using it. The second way of using it is the sort of way you'd use it after you've had the amp a little while, in that you can preset and you can store any of the channel modes along with the second master volume, the reverb, and the effects loop, and you can actually assign that to any one of the 6 buttons on the foot switch. So how you do that is quite simple. Let's say that we want to set up a good clean sound. We've got our green mode on the clean, and then we want to bring in the reverb, which you can do either from the foot switch or the front panel, or do it from here. And let's say we want to put the effects loop in as well on the front panel, then you just press the effects loop button in. So we've now got those things set up for our clean sound, and we want to store that. We don't want the scrolling thing on the foot switch anymore. We actually want to hard store that to the foot switch. What you do on the top left of the amp, you've got the foot switch program button. You press that in and then hold down whichever one of the 6 buttons you want to assign that to. We're going to assign that to number 1. So what you do is you hold in number 1 and wait for the flash in the top right corner. As soon as that's flashed, take out the foot switch program button, and that clean sound that we've set up is now actually hard stored to number 1, so it won't scroll anymore. You know that wherever you go from now, number 1 will be your clean sound. If we want to set up a good overdrive sound, let's say we want the orange mode of overdrive 1 along with a bit of reverb, and we want to store that as our main overdrive sound. Once again, foot switch program button, and it kind of makes sense to put it in number 2, so we'll hold down number 2, wait for the flash, there it goes, and now that's set to number 2. So now we've got a clean sound and our overdrive sound, like a good rhythm sound. And if you want to set up a lead sound as well, you can do this up to, obviously you can do this up to 6 times, but we're just going to do 3 of them. The red mode of the overdrive 2 channel, and we want everything reverb, second master volume, and the effects loop in there. And we want to store that to number 3, foot switch program button in, hold down number 3, wait for the flash in the top right. There it goes. So now we've got like 3 sounds set up within the amp, and there are sounds kind of thing. And what happens is if you unplug this foot switch, the foot switch, by the way, is just connected with a standard guitar lead, which is great because you can make it as long or short as you want. And you'd think that when you plug it back in, you would have lost all those sounds and stuff, but you haven't. They're actually all still there. They're all still stored in there, all those sounds. Just like if you go and plug this foot switch into any other JVM head, all your sounds will still be recorded, so it saves a lot of time. So to change it back, I'm sure you're thinking, how do you get it back? It doesn't mean it's there forever, kind of thing. To assign the channel back to one of the patches of the foot switch, what you do is the opposite. So you press the foot switch program button in. What we want to do is we want to assign our clean channel back to number 1. So you hold down number 1 and press the clean channel pretty much simultaneously. So you're down with the foot switch and the channel at the same time. You'll see a flash. There's the flash, and now what you'll see is back on number 1, we're back to scrolling, and you'll notice that the reverb and the effects are still recalled because they were all still assigned to that mode. But you can just take them out if you want. And now we've got our clean channel back to number 1. This also means that you can assign the foot switch any way you want it to for the channels to scroll. So if you wanted to have your clean channel scrolling on number 6, you could. If you wanted to have your overdrive 2 channel scrolling on number 1, you could. You know, the possibilities are endless with this foot switch. The easiest way though to reset the foot switch is quite simple. What you do is you unplug the foot switch itself, and you hold down button number 6 and plug the lead back in, and you'll start to see a flash. Press number 5, and number 5 is the factory reset. So then the foot switch will be back as it was when you first got it, when you first unpacked it. We're going to take a quick look at the back of the JVM now. You might be able to see inside the amp is powered by 4 EL34 valves. And on the left-hand side here, you've got your output section for speaker cabinets, and this is divided up pretty much into 3 different sections, 3 different vertical sections if you think about it. It's all very self-explanatory if you have a look at the back of the amp. Just here on these 2, this is for 1 4-ohm cabinet or 2 8-ohm cabinets. And then the next one along is for 1 8-ohm cabinet or 2 16-ohm cabinets. And then just here is for 1 16-ohm cabinet, which was the one that we were plugged into for this cab into the 16-ohm input of the cabinet here. Moving along, you've got your effects loop section, you've got your send and return, and then your effects level, and your mix is actually on the rear panel of the amp, which is like a recessed knob. And then you've got your power amp insert and serial loop, and you've got your active and bypass switch there, and your send and return just here. Moving along, you've got your line out, you've got your emulated line out, so you can plug in there straight into your recording desk for sort of, so you can control the recording a bit better. And the foot switch plug is just here, and you'll notice that the nut on the foot switch is white, and this is something that's happening with all new Marshalls now. So you know that whenever you are in a dark venue or something like that, and you look around the back of the amp, you always know that the foot switch is the one with the white nut. Then you've got your MIDI in and MIDI through, because the amp has full MIDI capabilities, and then you've got your mains input for the regular plug. So that's it. That's pretty much it on the Marshall JVM4 series. We're going to have a quick look at the other options within the range, but I recommend going to see your local Marshall dealer to try one out. So what you've been hearing is the Marshall JVM410H, which is the 100-watt head, but it's also available as the 410C, which is a 2x12 combo, and it has all the capabilities of the head, but just in a convenient combo form.